Hello everyone, welcome on today's roundtable webinar focused on our brand new release, Newired 24.2. My name is Jiří Valek, I'm from the product management team and I'll be running today's webinar. As usual, you will wait 2 to 3 minutes max for the people that are just joining. In the meantime, I would like to ask my colleagues that they hear me fine, that they can just confirm that via chat. And for all of you, let's see, I'll be more than happy if you would post questions into the Q&A panel that is provided by the GoToWebinar platform. I'll be answering the questions at the end of today's webinar. I see the people are joining, so just give me 1 or 2 minutes for and wait for those who are joining, and we'll start the webinar in 1 minute. You can use the Q&A panel to ask questions. You can get familiar with the platform in this time. So I keep speaking for those who are just joining so they know that, let's say we are live and we are just waiting 1 or 2 minutes. I'll introduce myself again. I'll check the chat that we hear me fine, and we see your computer, so everything should be just fine. And we'll start in 1 minute. Yeah, so again, we see a few more people. I'll be starting in a minute. Okay. Hello everyone, on today's webinar, Newired 24.2. It's a webinar where we speak about our new release. We run this roundtable type of webinars every quarter. We are more than happy to listen for your questions, or actually you can use the Q&A panel to ask questions, and I'll be answering them at the end of today's webinar. The webinar will be recorded and you will be able to get the recording after this webinar. So for the purposes of recording, we have started the recording and we can restart or officially start the webinar now. Welcome everyone on today's webinar, Newired 24.2. It's a webinar focused on our brand new release, 24.2. We'll be speaking about what's new and noteworthy. And as usual, on this roundtable format, we structure our webinar around our blog posts that we use to announce the releases and also to expose what are the most important, let's say, new capabilities that we have delivered recently. And we start really big today, and we start with the AI-driven conversational search. So we start with the feature that is driven by, let's see, the artificial intelligence type of capabilities that almost every software today somehow tries to leverage. And we don't focus only on, let's say, content authors, and we don't just use ChatGPT to help you write the content better, but we really focus on the end users. And without waiting, let me go to the user interface and expose you what you are capable to deliver within our Newired digital adoption platform. So where we are today, we are in the CRM system, in our demo environment that you don't know, but you shouldn't mind that much, because what's really matter is that on top of this CRM system, we run in a digital adoption overlay. So in this overlay, of course, you can, as you know, you can define a different guided tours, tutorials, how to operational guidance. And what we see in the enterprise deployments is that in a real life, the list of journeys can get really long. I mean, we have customers with hundreds, if not thousands, of different journeys. And of course, we provide some segmentation, so different users may have a different content, may see a different content. So if I'm in the department A, I don't see the same journeys as if I'm a user from department B. But still, it could be maybe 200 journeys that I would be seeing on my screen, and I can search, right? So I can search for how to create a blank account. And now you see the problem, because it's a computer that is really searching the keywords for the given journey, and the existing journey is missing the term blank, so it doesn't find anything. And it's a typical problem that when you implement the search components with the old-fashioned approach, I mean, the computer doesn't really understand the let's say the meaning of your search phrase. And that's exactly where the AI is really strong with their language models that implement the, let's say, the deeper understanding, or at least semantic understanding of the statement. So I can chat with the AI assistant and I can ask how to set up, how to create a blank account. And now it's not just, let's say, the chat may, let's say, process the previous knowledge bases, etc. But what we do on top of what the others are doing is that they also process the existing journeys, the existing tips, and it can actually recommend me, or let's say, tell me about the existence for the appropriate, let's say, guidance that I can trigger directly from this chat interface. So if I run it, it starts the journey, how to create a new account. So in additional words, I mean, we use in this given release the AI as an entry point for the user interaction with the system, which is really today useful, especially for large clients of us that are using a lot of journeys or have defined already a large number of journeys and tips and bookmarks. And by the way, today it's only the sneak peek into all the AI capabilities that are first in the product already and also on our roadmap. So I would like to announce or remind everyone that we are running a series of other webinars starting September 12th and continuing in October, which will really focus on the, let's say, AI capabilities, informations about the security, how ethical our AI is, how much data, if anything, let's say, is being used to train any data models, etc. Just to wrap up what I was presenting in a, let's say, no data are actually leaving our labs or your deployment environment. So we don't use the customer data to train any, let's say, shared data models. We don't use any customer data as a vehicle to train a product for other customers better. So no IP protected informations would leak to be shared with others just on the side note. But we will dive into the let's see, further plans regarding AI and details about how this has been implemented in a next sequence of our AI focused webinars. So just to highlight, in a brand new version of Newired, there is a new capability focused on the AI-based search. This feature is by default still disabled. It has to be enabled manually with the help of our service engineers and connected with the chatbot API token. But if you feel that you would like to leverage these new capabilities and you have enough data that such an AI chatbot would benefit your use case, let us know, and we can start the deployment right away. If you go back to our blog post about 24.2 version, the second big capability is structured around content management. You remember that I told you that we have customers with hundreds of journeys, thousands of journeys that needs to be first properly organized from the user point of view. And we really believe that instead of heavy folder organization or implementing a different tags, etc., it wouldn't serve the end user as much as the feature that you have just seen, that you can just conversate with a chatbot. But for the management of the content, so when you need to somehow organize what needs to be reviewed, when you need to mark what journeys are potentially broken because there is a new version of your standard operation procedures. If you need to somehow split between what has been already pushed to production versus what is only on a dev stage, for all of that, you need capabilities that help you to structure the content if you are a content author. So let me go now not to the user interface that is being used by the end users. So you remember for the previous demo, I was showing you the AI features directly in my web browser, simulating the end user experience. Now I will switch into the Newired editor. And in the Newired editor, you have, I'll switch to a different site. I'll use this one a bit later today. I'll use the Suite CRM site. So the site is the project where you manage your content. And here we see that there are little colored dots, which technically, let's say, represent a different tag. Like the yellow is to be reviewed, and I can easily mark any journey to be reviewed just by attaching the to be reviewed state. And of course, I mean, you can, let's say, independently set multiple labels. So I mean, this one can be marked as broken, and this one can be marked as broken as well. So a given journey may have multiple states. The journeys are a first-class citizen of Newired, between all the Newired artifacts, but we apply the same schema also to tips. So for the tips, I can of course mark any tip like to be reviewed. And this applies also to playbooks. So the playbook itself can have the labels which I can set from the menu or directly here from this top panel as well. And now you see that the state has been promoted to the interface. So it's very lightweight approach to tag journeys, to quickly recognize what is broken, what needs to be reviewed, what needs to be pushed to production. But you have seen that in the screenshot in the blog post, there are different states that we see here on our demo server. And that's important because we know that the tags, these color tags, are definitely something which is connected with your workflows, with the way how do you manage the project. So you see that in the site settings, where the site settings is available in the portal or the site settings is available directly here in the editor, you can define the names or define which, let's say, tags are being enabled directly here. So if I add here, for example, production versus this is stage, I enable these two tags. Now I can start using them directly from the interface. Of course, it's not personal. This is being shared configuration. So if anyone opens the Newired editor on a different computer, they would be able to assign the tags by their own. And tagging or marking the journeys as to be reviewed or pushed to production, I mean, this wouldn't be useful unless we also provide the filtering capabilities. So for any of the content in the Newired editor, I can of course easily just filter. So I can filter for everything what is broken on stage and on stage. I can filter for everything which is again broken on between the tips. So the filter is being shared across all the different tabs. And if I search for what is filter, you see that I can easily just let's see, go through all the different artifact types and recognize what is broken, what needs to be reviewed, what is assigned to production, what is assigned to development environments, etc. So with this functionality, we have implemented or we have extended our robust workflows with something very lightweight, because we believe that this feature needs to be lightweight to be universally usable as something which is fast and simple, but also strong enough to support the real-life workflows we have identified by working with our clients. That was the second key feature that was directly connected with the release 24.2. And we have realized that we would like also on this roundtable webinar also to speak or revisit one of the features that we have been spoken before, which was related to the so-called URL processing control as part of the Newired 24.1, because we have received a lot of questions. We have received inquiries about this new capability. So that was something that was already released a couple of months ago as part of version 24.1. But we have decided we would still like to speak about this functionality today, because there has been also some changes in the version 24.2 related to the enhanced URL processing. So URL processing is a technical term, but what is really important in URL processing is that it highly connects to the target application that you are using. So I'll switch here to one of the partner servers that we use here, and just I will demonstrate this capability in this particular application. So the goal is, let me just go back to the portal and see that we have the URL processor is disabled. Yes. So imagine that you would like to tell the people where to search for something which in this platform is called a work item. So you want to tell them, hey, if you want to search for bookmarkers, you just click here on the search icon. Of course, you can implement the journey, but as you know from the previous releases, we launched a new type of functionality called a bookmark, where the bookmark is more or less a single-step journey where I can select an element. I can say, hey, here you can search for work items. What is different to tip and a bookmark is that the bookmarks are searchable. So what it means is that if I click here on the help menu, I'll see here for the search for the work items bookmark. If I click on it, get to a specific page and it tells me search for work items here. I can get anywhere. I'm on any page, anywhere, and I just click help. I can of course just search. So if I search, I find here a bookmark, search for work items. It gets me to the particular page where I can search. But the problem of such bookmarks is that this bookmark always points to the same page. But with this application, like with Newired, you can manage a different projects. So what I'm saying is that I can switch to a different a context. And in this context, Newired demo, I can also search. But when I am here on the home page and I click now search for work items, it gets me back to the previous context where I've defined my bookmark. So for technical people on this call, what it means is that the bookmark remembers the full URL, and the URL sometimes contains the information about the context. So in this case, this URL, if I take it and I open it in a new tab, it will get me to the same Drive pilot project as I see here in my editor, which means that the bookmark really works as traditional bookmark that has been part of our daily life since the invention of the World Web browser. So let's say the bookmarks were always remembering the exact locations where that the user wants to open. But in our business life, I mean, the situation is different because very often we want to receive the guidance within the context. So we want to help the user to find out where to search contextually related to your selected context, where the selected context can be a project, the selected context can be a department, the selected context can be anything which is defined in the target application. And for that, I mean, we need to tell the system, please start processing the URLs in a more smart way, in a smarter way. So within the Newired portal, under the advanced settings, we can enable the URL processors. There can be many different URL processors. This task of deriving the context from the URL is not trivial. We have some out-of-the-box URL processors. So if you go to the administration of the portal, we see that here is the Polar URL processor, the one for the application that I'm using for this demonstration. There is a generic regular expression-based pattern URL processor. So there can be many different ways how to derive the context from the URL. What is important is that if I go to my site settings, I can enable the URL processor. Now, if I go back to our editor, and we reload the site to, let's say, tell the Newired editor to load the setting again, where we have enabled the URL processor, we would like to check this search for work items tip, or not tip, a bookmark that we have created a minute ago. And what do we want? We want to say, hey, on this particular bookmark, we see that we enable the URL processing. So first, and this is new in our brand new version, it can be selective. So you can have a bookmarks which always points to a particular URL, no matter if you use some default URL processing or not. So if I disable it, the system will always open this particular URL. But if I enable it, now if I run this in a different context, so I switch from this Drive pilot context where I've set up my bookmark, and I trigger it, if I did everything right, you see that I stayed in this e-library project. You can say, yeah, but you have been on that page already. Okay, so let's go to a different page. So we go to this home page. So now we see that the URL actually contains here some shortcut, home, and something. So it's definitely different. And it also shows a different content. So now if I click search for work items, I get to the page. I have a bookmark pointing to my search trigger, and I've stayed in my context of e-library. So let me just summarize what I was speaking about in the last 5 to 7 minutes. So first, we spoke about URLs. Technically, the URLs are, let's say, statements that defines where you are in your target application. Some applications are so-called single page applications. Technically, what it means that the page is not being reloaded when you click in a navigation. It's a very rich internet application. This is, by the way, also this example of the Siemens application. But on top of that, this statement where you are may contain a context. And a typical situation for when you are tasked with the goal to set up a guidance for a particular operational procedure, you may need to actually provide something which actually respect the context. So whenever I run it, it runs in the context of, in this case, a project that has been selected. As I said, it's not really a trivial task for us as an independent software vendor that delivers a digital adoption platform that should connect to any target platform, that we would understand the concept of every URL schema for every potential web application. So to implement it on top of your application, you either would use the plugins that we have developed out of the box for some popular apps, or you can use the regex pattern URL processor, which is somehow a generic processor that can hopefully work with any application if the way how the context is being based into URL is simple. Or we provide API to develop a very custom URL processor for your legacy application to use in-house. And once you have that, you can apply the URL processor for bookmarks, or of course, you can apply the URL processor also for the journeys or playbooks, etc. And in addition of the URL processor can be also used by the analytics to understand better the data in our reporting component. So today we spoke about three main new capabilities. The first one was the AI-based conversational search, which is by default disabled, but we can enable it on request for your deployments. The second one was the, let's say, pretty significant improvement for the content managers that needs to manage the process of, let's say, to manage the life cycle of journeys and tips in an environment where you really need to process hundreds of journeys, hundreds of tips, and mark what is broken and reviewed and on production, on development, etc. And I also spoke about the feature that was partially released in a previous release, but we have made some improvements, called a URL processing. And just a heads up, as I said, 2 more webinars planned for the AI on September 12th and October the 3rd. Here we are at the end of the content we have prepared for you today. And now I will open the Q&A panel and check whether you have any questions. In a second, I see that the people are writing. So there is a question about the authentication for this AI chat. We'll dive into the details for where how the data are being managed within the AI in the next webinar. But let me just be quick here. Our approach is that you can use your own, let's say, API token provided by Microsoft Azure AI environment or directly from OpenAI ChatGPT framework. And in this case, you, let's say, have your own contract with the AI provider. In addition to that, we don't train the data models. We just, let's say, send the data for the so-called short memory, which is not being used for training a data models. You can mark your ChatGPT interfaces as something that, let's say, the others will not, let's say, benefit from the content you push into this interface. So we apply various measures how you can be safe that your proprietary data, let's see what the people are searching for, what are the process names within your organization, nothing like that will leave your company in a way that, let's say, the general language models will be trained based on your data. Can I extend the number of color tags within the editor? You can enable and disable, let's see, the color tags. So if you go to the, let's see, portal to a given site, what we have been already showing you today is that you can define, let's see, multiple different, let's see, tags, namely just 5 of them. We actually learn how this is being managed on the typically on the operating system level, both on Windows and Mac. We believe this is enough. We have already worked with some early adopters that would like to, let's see, have the number of tags extended to like 6 or 7. So we will enable that. But just to be sure, let's see, we really believe that there should be just a limited set of labels, because then it's easy for the user to keep a track what the different colors and tags actually mean. So we don't encourage users to have, let's say, 50 different labels and tags, because then the management will become really messy. So we really believe that the list should stay low and make it really clear what the different content labels means. The labels can be different site to site as it is part of the site settings, so you can have a different labels for different projects within your Newired deployment. There is something else. Is the Newired 24.2 backward compatible to 23.3? We keep always the new releases compatible with the previous releases, and we do it in a smart way. So first, you don't need to, let's say, update the editor desktop applications to the latest version. Starting last year, as you know, when you are, let's see, when you log in into a different server, the editor itself will download all the information from the target Polarium, the Newired server. What it means is that if I click here on about the Newired editor, we see that there is a specific version of the desktop application. In my case, it's 23.0. So for demonstration purposes, I have the version of the Newired editor as it was released last January 2023. And remote application version is 24.2. So what is important is that, let's say, it's almost like a BIOS, which is the desktop application, and then you really have the real operational system, which is the stuff that is running in the Newired portal. So I don't need to install the Newired editor with every new version. And if the question was, do I need to install the Newired editor while updating to 24.2? As you clearly saw on my screen, you don't need to. The system will automatically, let's say, take the JavaScript files and everything from the let's say, your portal, so from the version that you use on your server. From the perspective of the APIs and data compatibility, of course, you don't need to perform any data migration or anything like that. The installation process is very straightforward. We don't change the structure of the data or format, etc. You can just install the new version. And last, the new capabilities, or actually all the capabilities that are visible to the end users are being part of the content. Then we export anytime you publish a new version. So what I mean is that, let's see, if you want to start using the bookmarks, you need to first, let's say, create the content with the Newired editor and then publish it. But what it also means is that the existing content, the versions that you have exported, are kept as read-only asset. So by installing a new Newired version, we don't touch the existing content. So your production environment, so if you go to, let's say, the CRM system, everything what runs on top of the end user screen points to the content that has been already been published, kept as read-only. So even if the new Newired version would fix a problem, an issue, this issue will still remain theoretically. I mean, we have improved, for example, the performance by deploying a new Newired version. The performance will be the same for the end users because they still, let's say, get the old content from the old published version. Only once you update to a new Newired version, you would need to create a new version of the content, and the new version of the content will contain also the new libraries, the new JavaScript routines that actually introduce new capabilities and configurations. So let's see, if we speak about backward compatibility from the, let's say, internal point of view, you shouldn't be worried. It is backward compatible on the data and API level. From the content management point of view, the Newired editor can stay the same, and it will just download all the assets automatically. This has been implemented already a couple of years ago. And from the perspective of, let's say, being shared, that nothing gets broken once you install the new version. I mean, from the end user point of view, we guarantee that by content isolation, that everything which is being served to the end users is being, let's see, frozen by publishing it to a particular version, which is kept as read-only, also between the different updates. Check whether there is any other question. Here, let's check the chat. I don't see any more questions. I hope that we will hear, or you will hear us also in a series of next webinars focused on the AI. Check our website and please register online. It is available on our website under resources webinars section. And as we already told you, this webinar was recorded, so we will share the recording with you so you can share it with colleagues in your organization or spread the word across your teams. Have a great day and thank you for staying with us. Bye.